Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We got a lot to cover. I'm going to go through a lot of issues today. I got something I'm going to start with, but I got a lot of big issues. However, today is Friday, and on Fridays, it's open phones on the program. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. And on Open MAGA Mike Friday, you don't have to be MAGA. You're all welcome to call in toll-free. The toll-free call-in number, it's toll-free no matter where you're watching, is pinned in the live chat. The show prep on Friday is up to you guys. You don't have to talk about anything that I bring up. Monday through Thursday, you have to talk about the things that I bring up. But Friday, you can bring up whatever you want when you call in. All right, we'll be live in about 10 seconds. Stand by. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. We've got a lot of stories to cover today. I'm going to get to a lot of things, and of course, it is Friday already. Holy smokes, it is Friday already, and Friday's show is Open Phones, which we call Open MAGA Mike Friday. One of our listeners actually came up with that. Christine in Pennsylvania came up with the Open MAGA Mike Friday a few years ago, and I love it. I think that's a good name for it. Now, you don't have to be MAGA to call in, but on Friday's show, you can call in with anything and everything on your mind. You don't have to talk about any of the things that we bring up on the show. Monday through Thursday, we try to herd you into talking about what, commenting on the topics we bring up, but as Rush Limbaugh, the great Rush Limbaugh, used to say, Friday's show, we turn the show prep over to rank amateurs. So the show prep's up to you guys today, and the toll-free number, no matter where you're listening, is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. But I do have some things I'm going to bring up here throughout the show, including right now. I want to talk about these judges. So many people are like, oh, the judges. And I've been telling you all that the President of the United States does not answer to federal judges. Federal judges are not his boss. Federal judges are not his supervisor. And there's a big lie that has become something that most Americans believe is true, that it is not. Now, there are three branches of government. This is the lie. There are three separate branches of government that have separate but equal powers. There indeed are three branches of government. They do have separate powers, but they're not equal, not even close. The weakest of the three branches of government is the judicial system because they don't have an enforcement branch. Congress is number two, but the most powerful by far is the chief executive, and that's the President of the United States, and they do not have authority over him. If you have a president who is breaking the law, like Joe Biden, this should have happened, but it did. If you have a president that is breaking the law, President Trump is not, but if you do have a president who's committing a high crime or misdemeanor out there doing crimes, it's not up to judges to get involved. The Constitution of the United States has a process set up for an outlaw president. It's called the impeachment process. The House of Representatives impeaches the president, which is like an indictment, and that triggers an automatic trial, an impeachment trial in the United States Senate. There's a trial. The prosecutors from the House have a team to prosecute. The president has a defense team to defend. And the Chief Justice of the United States goes to the Senate. We've seen this several times since 1998 when Clinton was impeached. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is the judge that presides over the impeachment. Then when all the case is made, the Senate votes. And if 3/4 of the Senate vote guilty, the president's out of office. That's the process for a president who breaks the law. Not that President Trump has, because he's broken no laws. It's not up to federal judges. That's not the process. But I saw an incredible interview with the great Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich is very smart, and he was on this interview, and he made such a great point that I've not heard anyone make about these federal judges. And he had met with members of Congress in the last few days in private and actually had a discussion with them about this. Now, we're not talking about the Supreme Court. We're talking about the lower federal judges. Federal judges are known as federal district judges. Okay? Federal district judges. And I looked it up during the break. There are 94 federal districts. Okay? So every state has them, including the District of Columbia. And I imagine the territories do too, like, Guam, U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. And what Newt Gingrich said, which is spot on and right on and 100% correct, and it's one of the, I'll tell you what he said in a minute, but it's one of those things that has been misinterpreted, like we have the three branches of government that have separate but equal powers and they check on it. That's not the case. Newt Gingrich said that these lower, now we're not talking about the Supreme Court, we're talking about the federal district judges, that their authority is only over their district. This is Newt Gingrich talking, and he's had conversations with senior Republicans in the House of Representatives about this that are going to bring them into check, he says. The federal judges only have authority over their district, not the entire United States and its territories. And I've not heard anybody state that before. Now, maybe someone else has said it, but I missed it. Newt Gingrich was the first person, and he's in with the clique, to say that. Remember, his wife was ambassador to the Vatican, remember? So Newt has been a strong supporter of President Trump for a long time, since that first term. And that is so true. And this most recent, one of these most recent rulings they made against President Trump, the ACLU went to several courts. They went to the Supreme Court and a handful of federal district judges, just going to as many courts as they could, hoping for a ruling that went in their favor. And they found one court that did. So these federal district judges do not have authority over the entire country. They have authority in their district. Now, outside of their district is out of their jurisdiction. Like a county sheriff, they have their jurisdiction in their county. They have no authority in the neighboring county. Same thing with the federal judges. Only have authority in their district. Now, and they don't supervise the president and have no authority over him, and he does not answer to them, especially in a matter like this, when President Trump is repelling an enemy army of barbarians, of criminals and rapists that have invaded our country. Now, yesterday, I ordered a Trump 2028 hat from the official Trump store. Now, sadly, they're sold out and on back order, so I don't know when I'm going to get it, but I ordered it yesterday. I also ordered a Gulf of America shirt. That was sold out too and is on back order from the official Trump store. And this Trump 2028 has the left, the media, the Democrats in a complete and utter panic. And after the first break, I'm going to get into that because it's a very important topic. And what is President Trump talking about here? I'm going to share my thoughts on that when we get back. And, of course, again, it's open phones. Our number 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Yesterday, Jupiter Joe Thomas was in studio with me. And he'll be in studio one day next week, too. He's awesome. You want to give him a call and talk to him about annuities. And I said to him, every day someone's asking me, how's your 401k going? I do not have a 401k. I am not in the stock market. I own a couple of the Trump stocks just because I want to, own a little bit of Trump, but I'm not in the stock market. And the reason that I'm not in the stock market is because, 50% of Americans don't own a single stock, by the way. And of the other 50%, most all of those are owned by the upper 3% of income earners. But to me, the stock market's for rich people. It's gambling. ups and downs. I can't live with that kind of stress and anxiety. I like things that are safe, like annuities. With annuities, your nest egg is never at risk. No matter what happens in the stock market, your nest egg is safe. And unlike 401ks, IRAs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, not only is your money 100% safe with an annuity, you're guaranteed an income stream for the rest of your life. That's absolutely amazing. Now, Joe Thomas is offering free phone consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located in the United States. He'll have a conversation with you, ask you whatever he asks you, and then he's going to put together a custom proposal for you based on your situation, your needs, and your goals. Call him right now. You can leave a message, I'm sure, even though they're not open at this early hour of the morning. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, you can find it on his website, JupiterJoe.com. That's JupiterJoe.com. All right, callers on hold, stand by. It's a Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be right back. All righty. All right, guys, if you're on hold, stand by. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be back in 2 minutes. 2 minutes, guys. Okay, just over a minute and we'll be back. If you're new, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe. That's right. You'll love this channel. I promise you. Monday, I will be at the radio station. I got to go to the radio station twice next week. I was going to go today, but I've got to do something over this weekend that is crazy. Perhaps. I'm not sure yet. I'll find later today. But if I do what I got to do, I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to make a YouTube video about it and put it up here on the channel because it's going to be, I'll find out after the show, a very exhausting thing that I got to do. 30 seconds. Yeah, if you want to call in, the toll-free number is pinned in the chat. If you're on hold, hang in there. I love Hot Pockets. I haven't had one in a long time, though. Welcome back, one and all. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. If you're on hold, hang in there. It is open phones, open Mega Mike Friday. But I hope that the things I bring up you'll call in about today as well. All right, our number 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, it's one of those. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. Now, before I go back to some more calls, I want to talk a little bit about this Trump 2028, which has people freaking out beyond imagination. And not only did Trump start selling the Trump 2028 hats, which I ordered one yesterday, the great Eric Trump, who follows me on X, doesn't everyone love Eric Trump? I love Eric Trump. He posted a photograph on social media wearing the Trump 2028 hat. So what does all that mean? Well, it could mean a number of things. It could mean that the Constitution of the United States is amended for Trump to run again. And I'll tell you what, I'd vote for Trump in a third term. And I'd vote for him in a fourth term, too. In fact, I'd be comfortable with Trump being president for the rest of his life. Right? Wouldn't you? How many of you would vote for Trump for a third and fourth term? I would do it without hesitation. But we'll get deeper into it as the program goes on. Oh, hold on. Wrong line. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Makai. I'm from New Jersey.
All right, New Jersey. What's on your mind?
I just have a question.
Oh, here we go.
And I know that you support Trump.
Absolutely.
Pretty, openly.
Of course. Why not?
How do you feel about, one, his reversal on his decision about H-1B visas? I know he talked about it in 2016 on stage, saying that it was a loophole that he didn't like, that he's used, that he would get rid of, and then his flip-flopping and denial of him saying that on stage. That's my first question. How do you feel about that?
Well, what's the other one?
Oh, my other question is Trump coin. It's not technically fraud, but I don't know how.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Trump coin first, okay? And let's talk about the Trump, because I'm so. Hold on a second here. The phones are ringing off the hook. Let's talk about the Trump coin first. Why do you think Trump has a meme coin? A crypto coin. Why do you think he has that?
I can't say to why I think he has it. I know he has it because it props up his value on paper. He made 85% of his net worth now because of that token.
No, it has nothing to do with money. Nothing to do with money. Nothing.
I mean,
he's worth over $10 billion. He doesn't even take a salary as president. No, he does it for two reasons.
Do you know?
I know exactly why he does it.
Do you know how he's worth that?
The $10 billion.
In order to be worth that amount.
Yes.
So.
Yes, I know.
You use debt from a bank.
No. We're not going to be all over the. Listen. I don't know if you're bipolar.
No, I'm saying.
I don't know if you're bipolar or something, but we're gonna focus in on the meme coin. President Trump President Trump has the Trump coin for a couple of reasons, maybe more than a couple, but for a few reasons. Okay, one, cryptocurrency is a big thing in the world, right? A big thing, isn't it? A lot of people are in it. You know, I own some crypto. Okay, do you? Do you have any crypto?
No.
Oh yeah, I own some crypto. In fact, last year, I had a bunch of Ethereum, and when tax time came around, I unloaded my Ethereum to pay my taxes. It was pretty cool, and I own crypto now.
And you paid capital gains on it, correct?
I'm not going to get into the details of my taxes, but it was an investment that went up and put money aside. It went up, and I paid my taxes with it. But here's why President Trump is into crypto. Crypto is a big thing globally. Are you okay?
Okay.
You're hacking and coughing. You okay?
No,
you have emphysema?
I want you to make your point.
I am making my point.
I have something to say.
And don't wait to talk. This is a thing you brought up, and I'm answering it. So Trump has.
I know,
but you got no. I'm doing what I do every day. Okay, President Trump. Crypto's a big thing globally, right? And people are mining crypto and setting up crypto businesses all over the world, and it's such a big thing that's here to stay probably forever. He wants crypto mining and the crypto companies to be based in the United States. So one of the reasons he supports cryptocurrencies and has his own coin is to show his support for it. Another reason is, like, I'm not into the stock market, as I was saying earlier, but I own some of the Trump stocks, the Trump media stocks with the Truth Social. And the only reason I do that is because I want to own a piece of Trump. So he had, it gives people want to own a piece of Trump that are into crypto. They buy the coin and they have an investment in him. And it's also a way, when he went to the crypto convention during the campaign, crypto people are a strong voting bloc, like many other voting blocs. And he wants to show them that not only does he support them and what they're doing, but he puts his money on the line with his own coin. So there's some very smart reasons why he's got a coin. None of them have to do with financial gain.
Okay. Yes. Let me respond to that. The crypto has no inherent value. It is not tied to anything. It is only tied to speculation.
No, that's not true. Anything.
Wait.
No, stop right there. Stop right there. No, stop right there.
Wait. I didn't interrupt you, sir. I did not.
I'll give you a few more seconds. I want to respond to that. All right, go ahead.
Let's be respectful.
I'll yield my time.
Crypto is a speculative asset that has no inherent value.
It is risky.
Wait. Let me finish. I did not interrupt you. Meme coins are pump and dump schemes. We have seen it multiple times, not only with Trump coin, multiple other coins. The coin in Argentina that got pumped, somebody pulled out $100 million and people lost money.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with Melania.
Okay, wait. No. I don't need to. Slow down.
Melania coin had the same thing.
Okay,
Donald
slow
Trump
down.
Coin
Slow
had
down.
the
Slow down.
value
The value. Listen, there are people that do promote crypto scams. President Trump's not one of them. The thing about what something is valued, okay? How is the value of, like, I've got my cup of coffee. What determines the value of my cup of coffee or a baseball card or a collectible action figure? What determines the value?
Because it's a physical asset.
No.
Scarcity
No.
breeds desire.
No.
Scarcity breeds desirability.
We got another college boy on. We got another college boy on the line. Are you reading?
I've never been to college.
Well, this is like
I dropped out.
I can see.
Class.
Yeah, I can see. Oh, you took economic classes. 11. Okay, slow down.
So
what you said's not true. That's what you said's not true.
So you rather just believe in blind faith rather than do the due diligence
research.
Listen,
the value.
the
value of
the market.
The value of some. Yeah, I know you got a bunch of fancy words out of the Economics 1101 textbook.
It's not fancy.
Stop waiting to talk. I'm going to hang up on you. If you don't stop talking, I'm going to hang up. If you don't let me speak, I'm going to hang up on you. The value of something is whatever people are willing to pay for it, right? So the value of a cup of coffee might be $1 or it might be $20. The value of anything is what people are willing to pay for it. It's not all that textbook, right? But it is correct. But I appreciate the call. All right. Take care. If you're on hold, stand by. We're coming up on our bottom of the hour break. It is Open Mega Mic Friday. I told you guys, open phones on Friday. You can call in about any and everything on your mind. Same thing goes for your value as a worker. Your value as a worker is based on a lot of things, but mainly on what an employer is willing to pay you in exchange for your work. That's how the value of things are. And anything that has Trump on it, whether it's a condominium building or a meme coin, it has Trump's name on it. It has an elevated value just based on the great Trump brand. My name's Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back. I tell you, people, they think they're so smart, and they don't know anything. The value of anything is determined by what people are willing to pay for it, right? Like if you've got a computer, if people said something that's a physical value, there's a lot of digital products that people buy. Or you can pay someone to be a consultant, and they're just giving you their thoughts and ideas. The value of anything is what people are willing to pay for it. That's it. Not all these college textbooks, economics 1101 and 1102 things. No, I just have common sense. I'm not smarter than anyone. I just have common sense. What a lot of these young callers show you is how stupid college can make people, because you get a lot of bad information, and for some reason they think that they've got knowledge, and all they have is liberal communist gobbledygook that is meaningless in the real world. Right? That's it. You go to college to get brainwashed, confused, and it's not a place to learn anything that's practical. If you're on hold, hang in there. No, I've got an education. I've gone to college myself. I just went as an adult, so I couldn't get brainwashed. Oh, there's people on hold. Okay. We'll be back in about a minute, just over a minute. When you go to college as an adult, your brain is finished developing, and they can't, and you've been out in the real world, you know how the world works, they can't brainwash you so easily. There's 2 openings on the board. 30 seconds, we'll be back. You really shouldn't go to college before 25. Your brain doesn't stop developing until you're about 25. Welcome back, everyone. The phones we have 2 openings on the phone lines on this Open Mega Mike Friday. 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Roger, and I'm from Riviera Beach.
What? Dodgy?
This is Roger.
Roger. All right, Roger. All right, Roger. What's on your mind? Here we go.
I have a fat penis, and I'm...
Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh, my goodness. First dump of the day. Oh, my. Grown men. All right. First dump of the day. If you're on hold, hang in there. We have to wait for the delay to re-engage before I take another call at 1-888-465-2631. So while I'm waiting for the delay to build back up, I'll talk a little bit about the Trump 2028 that the left are freaking out. So there's a few possibilities here, okay? One is that they amend the Constitution, which has been done a whole bunch of times. I don't know how many times offhand. How many times has the Constitution been amended? A whole bunch of times. Constitutional amendments can be passed to allow him to run for another term. But if you notice, it says Trump 2028. It doesn't say Donald Trump 2028. And Eric is posting that picture of himself that says Trump 2028. It could be Eric Trump in 2028, you know. Now, I'll tell you, if they amended the Constitution and Trump ran for a third term, I'd vote for him for a third term and a fourth term. But it could mean Eric Trump 2028. Have any of you thought about that? It also could mean this. Oh, I'd love that. Eric Trump's awesome. He runs the Trump Organization. He's very good. Another thing it could mean is this, that the third Trump administration will be the administration that he endorses the candidate of. And he said JD doesn't have the nomination. He's got to earn it. So if you want a third Trump term, Trump 2028, vote for who Trump endorses. So there's several possibilities with that. All of them are fine with me, including president for life. I'd vote for Trump in 2028 and 2032. But it could mean all of those things. And there may be some other ones, too, that I haven't thought of yet. And I'm fine with them all, aren't you? I mean, how many of you would vote for Trump a third or even a fourth time? I know I would. 1-888-465-2631. The delay is re-engaged. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Trisha from Minneapolis.
Hey, Minneapolis. What's on your mind?
I would totally vote for Trump a third and a fourth time.
Yep.
And I'm laughing about the memes. Way back in the day in 2019, they were doing memes of Donald Trump dancing in front of a podium, and all these years, all these presidential years in the future going past him.
Oh, yeah, I remember that
and
one.
making the left, because he was going to be dictator for life, remember?
Yes.
Well, all the stuff they messed around with, they ended up fulfilling their own worst fear, because 2020, I mean, he would have been done. Right? He would have been through his presidency, second term, and they would have meddled the whole time. Well, thank God, everything. Well,
when everything was settled, I told everybody that listens to this show. Oops, sorry. There we go. I told everybody that listens to this program, President Trump will be reelected for a non-consecutive term. It's going to be better than having two back-to-backs, because he's going to come in with a major mandate to get everything done. And look what's happening. He's doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, another last comment. I cannot understand how Newt Gingrich can go ahead and point out something that these people in robes that are doing this to Trump, don't they know this? Or are they incompetent, or are they corrupt? I mean, which is it?
They're corrupt and activist and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Appreciate the call from Minneapolis. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Montana, Mark.
Oh, hey, Mark.
That's one of the things I was thinking about. Like you just said, it doesn't say Donald Trump for 28. It's just Trump.
Yeah.
And I would like to see Trump policies with whoever gets nominated.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, Montana. Yeah, it could be anyone. It could be Laura Trump, right? It could be any Trump. It doesn't say Donald Trump 2028, does it? Nope. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Tampa, Florida, and I am hammered. Let's talk to B.
You're on the air. What's on your mind?
Well, let's start off with some of the indicators you're saying. Trump knows what he's doing.
Correct.
Explain the economic policy of where he's at right now.
That's too vague. You got to be more specific.
I want to be specifically, if you want me to be specific, we're talking about the tariff situation right now, in which it is destroying global markets. We are seeing a runaway from American policy right now. Money leaving the country, and the president retreating back from his tariff policy. He goes, hey, we're not going to go ahead and take this. America's going to have a hard stance on it. And now he's retreating back.
None of that's true. So far as money
No, that's
leaving the
not true.
country,
That's not true.
almost every day, you read a story of some new company coming back to the United States or coming to the United States.
Wait. Which company?
There's been auto manufacturers. President Trump said yesterday,
So what company is that, though? But you said you read every day.
Well, there's a pharmaceutical company from Europe that's moving here. Apple.
So what
Apple.
company is that?
I don't know.
Name the
I don't
company.
remember all their names. Listen, you're not a talk show host. Don't
you
try
have
to
no
be.
Names. So you have no name.
Apple is moving manufacturing back to the United States. There have been some other Japanese
All right,
companies.
Tell me, what company?
I don't
Just
know
name
the
the
names
company.
of all the companies. I've seen the press conferences with the CEOs.
You've seen them with
Yes,
the
with
CEO.
President Trump at the
So
White
what?
House. Oh my goodness. What are these people? I can't remember the names of all these companies. Can you? Nissan's moving a factory, building a factory in the United States. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Joe from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Joe. What's up?
Not too much. How you doing?
All right.
So I got a comment to make, if I may.
Oh, okay.
So you were just talking about the value of something, and it's really based on cash flow, and more precisely,
Oh,
the
my
present value of future cash flows.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
So,
my
for
goodness.
example, what's that?
No, more gobbledygook from textbooks as opposed to real life. I'll give you an example, okay? Comic book collecting. Let's take it out of all this stuff. Comic book collecting, right? There are people that have comic books that are worth thousands of dollars. What determines the value of those comic books? Whether it's is it worth $5,000, $10,000, or $3? What determines the value?
Well, that's a whole different
No,
thing.
it's
We're
not.
talking
It's
about the
it's not a
value-
different thing. What determines the value of a
supply and demand. You could say supply and
No,
demand.
this is
but
what
the thing with,
this is what determines the value. Whatever someone is willing to pay for. I give you an example. Collectibles used to be a big market in this country, like Star Wars action figures, comic books, and baseball cards. And the collectibles market is not all that anymore. And the reason that is because of the internet. A lot of these things were hard to find, but because of the internet, I could go online right now and probably find an unboxed 1977 Star Wars action figure. It'd be a lot of money, but not as much as it would have been 25 years ago because they're easier to find now. What determines the value of anything is what people are willing to pay for it. If people are willing to pay $10,000 for something, it's worth $10,000. If people are willing to pay $10 for it, it's worth $10. Not all this gobbledygook
Yeah, but we're not talking about collectibles. We're talking about operating businesses.
It's the same
You're talking
thing.
about crypto.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not the same
Sure.
thing. No,
Sure.
it's not the same
Yes, it
thing.
is.
Okay, you know what? It's not the same thing.
Yes, it is.
All right, a business makes money. They cash flow. You do the present value of the cash flows. That's what somebody's going to pay for it. Okay.
Maybe.
We're talking about stock price. You can do price earnings ratios. Okay. How much earnings are they making?
What point are you trying to
flow.
make from liberal Fort Lauderdale?
What I'm trying to say is that, okay, based on what you said you don't like to invest in the stock market because it goes up and it goes down, and you just don't like all that.
It's
But
for
then,
rich people.
Then you say I invest in crypto. But then you say I invest in crypto,
A little
which is
bit.
a speculative asset. The crypto does not cash flow. Your other caller said that, right?
No, I'm
There's
not a
cash
big
flow.
crypto person. I own a little bit.
Okay, fine. But what I'm saying is that you say one thing and then the other. The guy that says,
No.
you know what, it is a pump and dump. It is. It is a speculative investment.
The reason
okay?
the
And
reason
it's
I'm
fine.
in the reason I'm in crypto is I'm not going to give too much details about it, but my daughter works in that space and she knows a lot about it, and she'll call me sometimes and say, "Hey, Dad, pick this up or dump that," and I do that, and she knows that market. It's quick stuff. The stock market and all that stuff. I don't know what point you're trying to make.
Well, you talk about an annuity. All right, you talk about annuity, how great annuities are. Annuity is insurance. It's not an investment.
That's why it's safe. What is the point you're trying to make other than try to show off that you think you're smart to people? from liberal Fort Lauderdale.
Well, that's not my point. But
You know,
my point is
Fort Lauderdale. Let
basically
me tell you this. Let me tell you this. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. My mother lives in Fort Lauderdale, and Fort Lauderdale used to be a great town. It's got the best beach in Florida, and you liberals and you liberal activists have just destroyed and polluted that city of Fort Lauderdale. It used to be a great place. Now it's filled with angry liberals who yell "F you" to me if I'm walking down the beach with my MAGA hat on.
Listen, my friend. I am not a liberal. I'm a conservative.
I know you're very
30
conservative.
Years in the Navy.
Oh, yes.
Listen, please.
You're my hero.
To me.
So tell me what the point of your call is today.
The point is to show you how full of shit you are.
Oh, there we go. All right, second dump of the day, Mike. Hit the dump button. Oh, my goodness. But you know what? That gives me an opportunity to talk to those of you who are suffering from neuropathy. Oh, man. If you or someone in your family have neuropathy, I don't have to tell you. It is living torture. Living torture. By the way, if that guy was conservative, would he be using profanity, calling me? No. That's an embarrassed, ashamed liberal. And an angry one at that. Neuropathy is just terrible. The dizziness, the tingling in the hands and feet, the feeling of pins and needles, the falling down, the not being able to sleep. It is literally torture. Steve had every neuropathy symptom. And what I didn't know, Steve was telling me, is that he would have a lot of these symptoms at the same time. Oh my goodness. He was stuck in bed. He was bedridden. He went to his primary care physician. They said there's no treatment for neuropathy. He went to his neurologist. His neurologist said there's no treatment for neuropathy. That's your life now. But we found Lighthouse Medical in Pompano. Not only do they have a treatment for neuropathy, they have a treatment that works. They rid Steve of his neuropathy symptoms very quick. He had his treatment over 2.5 years ago. His symptoms have not returned. So Lighthouse Medical in Pompano, they have a treatment for neuropathy, a treatment that works, and a treatment that lasts. Give them a call. And by the way, they can help you no matter where you are located. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We're going to take our last break of the first hour. We've already had to use the dump button twice. You guys cannot use profanity when you call. I don't know what it is with liberals. They're big on profanity. You know what it is? Liberals are angry. That's what it is. And they have no sense of right or wrong. They have no morals. That's what it is. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there, guys. Okay, we'll be back shortly, guys. If you're on hold, hang in there. We're just answering some text, DMs, and emails. In America, Americans don't care what people around the world think of us, our country, or our president. We just don't care. We just don't care. 2 minutes, we'll be back. A conservative would not be that angry and hostile. And Fort Lauderdale is like so liberal. That's where that Tesla protest was at that I went to a few weeks ago. There's 2 openings on the board if you'd like to call in. If you want to call in, the number is pinned in the chat. We'll be back in less than a minute. No, one opening on the board. Oh, no. Every line is lit. There's not an opening right now. Every line on the board is lit. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show on this Open MAGA Mike Friday. Open phones always on Friday. Every line on our board is lit up. So I'm going to go back to the phones. And when I hang up on a caller, you're welcome to call in. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hi. This is Joan in Tampa Bay. How are you this morning?
All right, Joan.
Can we all stand up and do the happy dance of the arrest of the judge in New Mexico and his wife?
Yeah, I wonder what the story is with that guy. Was he on the take? Were they blackmailing him? I liked, you know, and his wife, I saw them putting the wife in handcuffs in the police vehicle. She didn't look like she was worried at all. It was just like another day, like she was going to the beauty parlor. Me, if they were arresting me, I'd be like freaking out. But they weren't.
Well, the judge's wife picked up a Trende Alagua or
Trende, it's Trende de Aquafina.
Yeah, well, that's what they picked. She picked up this dude at Home Depot.
Yeah.
And brought them into their home and had him living there.
That's right.
So they were harboring a fugitive, actually a terrorist.
A sitting judge, by the way. A sitting judge.
A sitting judge, yeah. And FBI went out there. So Cash and, what's his name?
Dan Bongino.
Dan Bongino, yeah. They're doing their job, hon.
Well, I would like to see. I was very. I'm happy about that arrest. I'm also happy that Letitia James lawyered up yesterday, and she hired Hunter Biden's lawyer.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So Letitia's very nervous. She lawyered up.
There she goes.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate the call from Tampa Bay, Florida. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Name's Tank. I'm from Florida.
All right. What's up?
I'm just so happy about the deportation going on right now.
Absolutely.
Just so happy about Trump, you know.
Absolutely.
You got reelected again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be willing to reelect him another 5 times as far as I'm concerned.
I know. I wish he was 45 years old.
I know. I wish he was like 67 years old.
Yeah, my only negative thing I could say about Trump is I just wish he was like 30 years younger.
Well, listen, I was so happy about it, you know, like.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that he, you know, I've been doing this for a long time, okay, and what that guy was doing, he was building up to something, which we'll never know what it is. Another dump moment. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brother Brian. IB.
Hey, IB.
This last couple of weeks, I started to feel like there's a pattern of college kids being out, and they all went back home.
Yeah, I know. I'm like Charlie Kirk. The word's out on the I'm debating college students all the time.
Yeah. I remember that feeling, man. Like they just gave your name out, and they just having a good old time calling and thinking it's funny. Like the guy smoking weed with his girlfriend.
Oh, really? You think they think it's funny? I think they get pissed off and they're humiliated. They don't realize how stupid they are.
You're swatting them out like flies. But the reason I called in is this. You go back about a week and a half to 2 weeks and look for Stephen Miller talking about these judges and they're overstepping their boundaries. And the case must be brought to the court in their district, and then it's litigated. The district doesn't decide to go outside of their district anywhere in the country and make any kind of rulings because it wasn't brought to them in their district. So if you can go back and find the one with Stephen Miller, he was talking outside on the White House grounds.
I don't need to go back and I'm not going to go back. And Stephen Miller talks all the time.
No.
You go back and find it and send it to me, IB. Oh, my goodness. Wants me to go. Yeah, gee whiz. You find it and send it to me, and I'll listen to it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Jim Cagney. How you doing?
All right.
So, hey, I got a question for you guys. You guys have been saying that...
Hold on a second. Let me, hold on. I got a bunch of calls coming in, and I would rather talk to someone other than you first. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Ron from Hillard, Ohio.
All right, Ron, what's up?
Can you tell me more about this pump and dump you're talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Ah, fuck it.
There we go. Third dump of the day. If you're on hold, stand by. We've got to wait for the delay to re-engage. 3 times. I don't know. Have we hit a record yet? This might be a record. 3 times in an hour. Oh, my goodness. Now, if you're on hold, hang in there. There's 2 openings on the board, but I have to wait for the delay to re-engage before I take another call. What is going on with these people? You know, what is it with the left that makes them so vile? And you can hear, like, some of these are college kids, but that's like a grown man who's like in his 60s, that last guy. What is wrong with these liberals? You know, this is what's going on. You know, next week we have the great 100-day rally that President Trump's going to have in Michigan. This second term is perfect. It's going so well. Everything's going just as planned. And what you're seeing with the left, and you're hearing it with the callers to me, is they're just devolving is what's happening. They're completely devolving. And the further we get into Trump's second term, the worse it's going to get for them. They're losing their minds. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
The name is Locke. I'm from Tennessee.
All right. Go ahead, Tennessee.
I just want to talk about Trump's penis size.
I'm sure you do. There we go. Oh, my goodness. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Jim again. We seem to have gotten disconnected anyway.
No, I moved on from you. But anyway, what's on your mind?
For you.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a question for you. So we were talking about Garcia for a while. I was just wondering, so you got the same line about Gutierrez, or you guys just say the same things about him?
Which one's Gutierrez?
Gutierrez is the one they said they got the wrong guy, but they sent that down anyway. He was from the Bronx.
No, I don't know. No, if they send somebody there that shouldn't have been sent, they can send him back. But Garcia was not mistakenly sent. He's a terrorist, a human trafficker, and he beats his wife.
Oh, no, they said the same thing about Garcia. They just changed their tune afterwards, after the Trump administration.
No, it's his own wife says he beats her up.
By the way, there's another thing. You hear about DHS doxed his wife? That was fucking wild.
There we go again. 4th dump of the first hour, Mike. Oh, my goodness. 4 dumps in an hour. I think we may have broken a record here. We've had to dump 4 callers in the first hour of the program. That very well could be a record. Now, if you're on hold, hang in there as we wait for the delay to re-engage. I want to take this moment to tell everyone about Mike Lindell and MyPillow. You know, his spring sale is going on. Incredible deals. The MyPillow towels, $30 off, 20% off the Mike Lindell My Cross, which is the same cross that Mike Lindell himself wears. And also, you can save 30% off the new MyPillow energy drink, which is delicious. I've got these. You can get a introductory free 3-pack of the energy drink with our promo code Kane, and also save 30% off. It's very good. Comes in 3 flavors: blueberry, green apple, and lemonade. I'm a green apple guy. I always love green apple anything. Green apple, Jolly Ranchers, apple martinis, and green apple Rev 7 Mike Lindell MyPillow energy drinks. And you can use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, on all the specials at MyPillow.com, not just the ones that I share with you. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879, promo code Kane, Kane. All right, delay is re-engaged. Let's re-engage with the callers. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Scott from Kansas City.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, not because I'm against Donald Trump or anything. I would like this to be his last term because a couple of reasons. Number one, let the man rest, write his memoirs, spend time with his grandkids. And second, imagine my daughter, your daughter, being older women. Our daughters are about the same age, having to deal with 16 years of President AOC. It can come back at you.
AOC, what are you talking about, President AOC?
We're talking about the far future. AOC is very ambitious. I bet anything she's going to be the head of pro tem of the Senate.
They're setting her up for two things. They want to replace, oh boy, I just forgot his name, that old crotchety senator from New York. They want to make her the senator from New York, okay? And Schumer. Yeah, they want to get rid of Chuck Schumer. They want to get rid of Chuck Schumer, get her in the Senate, and they plan on running her for president or vice president in 28 with Bernie, probably as vice president. But she's not electable as president. She's a socialist. This is a very conservative country, and they're not going to elect this Democratic socialist. Not going to happen. Hey, listen, I got a break for the top of the hour, but it's nice to talk to a caller who didn't use profanity. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name's Brian Craig. We're going to take our top of the hour break and be back with more of your calls on this open phone, open MAGA mic Friday. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this break. These people have lost their minds. If you're on hold, hang in there. There's 2 openings on the board. We'll be back in 3 minutes. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. This is most definitely where MAGA comes to talk. Boy, oh boy. Well, welcome, everyone. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Would you vote for Trump for a 3rd term? Yes or no? I would. Absolutely. 1 opening on the board. Absolutely. A lot of yeses. A lot of yeses. You can amend the Constitution. About 90 seconds, we'll be back. Look at all those yeses. No, what you're really seeing is the total mental breakdown of the American left. The American left is over. I'm going to pull up a story here. Hold on, guys. is that story? Well, I'll find it later. We'll be back in 30 seconds. If you're on hold, hang in there. Hour number 2 has begun. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. If you're on hold, hang in there. It is open phones on Friday, open MAGA Mike Friday. And we're just hearing the complete mental breakdown of liberal America on this program the last week. And today certainly is an example of that. All right, there are no open lines on the board, so let me just go to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joseph Avengers. I'm calling from Tallahassee, Florida. I just had a couple questions more about like the Constitution specifically. My main concern is if you start attacking some part of the Constitution, you can attack all parts of it. So, for instance, imagine we were to amend not the part that does term limits, but let's say the parts that gives you your rights to freedom of speech or to peaceably assemble or to have, let's say, firearms, the Second Amendment. How would you feel then?
Well, for the Constitution to be amended, it's not just a snap of the fingers. 3/4 of the House and then 3/4 of the Senate have to vote and approve it. Then it's sent to the states, and 3/4 of the states have to vote in favor of it. Okay? So the idea, the Constitution has been amended a whole bunch of times, and it could happen again. And amending the Constitution to do away with presidential term limits is not an attack. It would be the will of the American people. That is the constitutional process to amend it. I mean, the argument you're making is, Democrats made that argument that you just made in the 1860s when they were amending the Constitution to free the slaves.
So it requires a supermajority vote to...
3/4 of the House... 3/4 of the House have to vote in favor. 3/4 of the Senate have to vote in favor. Then it goes to all 50 states for a vote, and 3/4 of the states have to vote in favor of it to amend the Constitution. It's happened many times. Prohibition, there was an amendment for prohibition and then to repeal prohibition. There was there was an amendment to give women the right to vote, which was the beginning of the end of everything. But the Constitution's been amended many times.
Yeah, I get that, but so 3/4 of people support Trump being
3/4 of the states, 3/4 of the states, not the people. 3/4 of the states.
The people in the states, the representatives, the people who'd be voting on that or whoever, 3/4 of them support Trump, especially Trump having a third term. I don't think he has that much support.
Then you got nothing to worry about. Then what, But don't you agree that President Trump is the greatest president of our lifetime?
I mean, the economy's pretty shit right now.
Oh, there we go. Really. Fifth time. Oh, my goodness. 5th dump of the day. We're going to go for the record, I think, today. 5 times in an hour, and we've been on the air an hour and 7 minutes, 5 dumps. I think we may be in record-breaking territory today. There's one opening on the board at 1-888-465-2631. While we're waiting for the delay to re-engage and build back up, what is it with people on the left with the profanity? Can you not speak English without using swear words? I don't understand what's wrong with you guys. There's a Democrat in the state legislature here in Florida. Speaking of Tallahassee, that last caller was calling from Tallahassee, Florida. It reminded me of this. Just yesterday, he left the Democrat Party, became an independent, and said the Democrat Party's dead in Florida. Dead. And that's an amazing thing because the Democrat Party was a very strong movement in this state, the state of Florida. And that's true in many parts of this country, that the Democrat Party, as we know it, is dead. Look at what they're doing. They're in El Salvador helping this terrorist Garcia who beats his wife. They're in Louisiana helping this Hamas activist, Mahmoud. When's the last time the Democrats have done something for an individual American that you can think of? Why are the Democrats working so hard to help foreigners, and bad ones at that? Those that work for Iran and Hamas, or who beat their wife, why and traffic humans, right? And by the way, the trafficking that Garcia was doing was slave labor. So he's a slave labor human trafficker, Garcia, according to the Highway Patrol in the great state of Tennessee. So why are you supporting a slaver and a wife beater? This is why the Democrat Party, as we know it, is over. All right, let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Hey, Doug.
You know, I talked to a liberal yesterday who basically was agreeing with everything that President Trump is doing. So I says, so you're ready to leave the party to become a Republican? Oh, no. I said, why not? If he's doing everything good. Well, he's not doing everything because my sister lost her job working for the federal government from those, and she can't find a job. And so it was not right with what they did, just shutting everybody down so quickly. Should have gave people some time. I says, well, if what do you want? You want to have a country that wastes our money like this? Well, you just
what did she do? What did she do for the government?
She was working for the Defense Department doing something. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't get into what she was doing, but
I wonder if she. Well, you know, the Defense Department seems okay without her. All right, Doug, I appreciate the call. I mean, I feel bad for anybody that's losing their job. I do, even these government workers. But the federal government's too big, man. They got too many people working for them. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Renee from Harlem.
Hey, Renee, what's up?
Hey, I've been listening to you spiel for the last hour, and it's really funny. You're giving us all the support we need. You're making everybody a liberal. That's great.
Oh, great. Share the show with all your liberal friends and contacts on social media then.
You're making even that guy that was a Republican, you made him a liberal.
No, he was
That's
lying.
Great.
He was lying.
Oh, you think so?
I know so.
Don't know. I don't think he was.
I know so.
I don't think so.
Okay, well.
I think he was a Republican, but
why would a Republican Trump voter be so angry towards President Trump and then drop profanity?
Smarter than you. I think he's smarter than you. I think it's not that hard.
If he's so smart, why is he using profanity?
Because you're annoying.
Oh.
But the thing is I think what you said about AOC, I think you're going to be a great boon for her because she does need to replace Schumer. I think that would.
Well, that's good.
Really,
I'm glad.
really good.
I'm glad I have so much influence in your mind on the electorate. You know, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you called though, because you're a black man in America, and your party is supporting this slaver, Garcia, that's in El Salvador. He was human trafficking labor slaves. Why all of a sudden is the Democrat Party taking a move to support somebody who's involved in the slave trade?
You, of all people, have no right to be talking about slavery. We're going to put you exactly where you put us.
Where's that?
Exactly
Harlem?
where we put.
You're gonna move me to Harlem?
Read your Bible. Revelation 13, verse 9.
And what's it say?
Read it.
No, tell me.
He who leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
Oh, so you're going to put white people in bondage, in slavery?
No, just you.
Just me.
Especially people like you down there in Dixieland, Florida.
What would I if I were
people like you?
So who's going to own me? Are you going to own
Zimmerman,
me? Whose slave am I going to be? You?
Zimmerman. People like you, Zimmerman, Shavers.
So
oh yeah.
So if I were your slave, what would you do with me? What would you make me do?
Oh, I would work you to, man. You don't want to ask me, boy.
No, I'm serious.
You don't want to ask me.
You say you're going to put me in slavery. So what would I be doing? What would be my work?
A lot of everything and nothing.
Like
Believe
like
me,
today,
you're
like
gonna
if
work
you
hard.
already had me as your slave, what would you have me do today?
Make me some sushi. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you would want to eat food that was prepared by a slave? I don't think I would do that. That's not very smart. And so far as calling, and as so far as didn't you see The Help with that? Remember when she made that pie?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
when
you could prove
listen.
me a house, but I don't-
You called
I don't trust
Renee.
you.
Renee, I'm
I wouldn't
not
trust you. You're
I'm
not
not your
very
slave
smart.
yet. I'm
I
not your
wouldn't trust
slave yet.
anything you made.
I'm not your slave yet, so I can speak freely.
Well, you will be.
You referred to Florida as Dixieland. You understand that there's more New Yorkers in Florida than in New York, right?
40 acres and a mule was going to give us Florida. You know that, right?
What would you do with 40 acres and a mule?
You know that, right?
All right, appreciate the call, Renee. Didn't think that through. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We're going to take our first break of hour number 2 of this Open Phone, Open MAGA Mic Friday. On Friday's show, it's open phones. Any and everything on your mind is fair game on Friday's show. The show prep is up to you guys, all right? And as you can tell, people are bringing up all kinds of weird stuff today. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be right back. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys. If you're on hold, hang in there. We will be back in a couple minutes. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be back in a little over a minute. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'll go back to the phones when we are back. less than a minute. I just turned the air conditioning down. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Today's show, it's Open Phones, Open Mega Mike Friday, but it's really kind of turned into liberal meltdowns. I mean, we've heard one liberal meltdown after the other since 6 a.m. All right, let's go back to our phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Peter from Hope Sound, Florida.
Hey, Hope Sound. What's up?
Brian, you do a great show, you and Steve. I've been listening to you now for a couple of years.
Well, thank you.
I just wanted to say that this guy Renee from Harlem, you should ask him if he has any white friends. And when he says no, we know who the racist is.
Well, I mean, I think a better that's a good question, but maybe ask him if he has any friends, because I would imagine he has zero friends of any color or gender or anything. I mean, who would be friends with that guy? He's a nut.
I don't know. He's unbelievable, though, and a real dummy. And this other conservative, guy from Palm City, this never Trumper, the only reason he calls you is because no one else will talk to him. Because Martin County is probably 95% MAGA.
It is. I mean, Martin County, I refer to as MAGA Martin County. It's a small county, but it is hardcore MAGA. I mean, it's the most MAGA county in Florida, by far.
Without a doubt. So he has no friends up there to talk to.
Never
That's
Trumper,
why he
Steve?
calls you.
Yeah.
yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say, Brian. You have a great day. You and Steve, God bless you for what you do.
All right, thank you. It's nice. I almost don't know how to talk to a normal, coherent person. All these freaks have been calling me. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. This is Wally. I'm calling from Steinbach, Manitoba.
Manitoba, Canada. All right, Canada, go ahead.
Came across your show on the Think Box there on YouTube this morning. I thought it was really interesting.
Well, thank you.
So what's going on with the tariffs and Trump? I haven't heard much about the latest.
Well, countries...
I'm a truck driver. I'm about to cross the border.
Yeah, countries from around the world have been meeting with the Trump administration to negotiate fair trade deals. You know, so many countries around the world, like you guys in Canada, have been ripping us off for decades, and it's ending.
Well, I haven't seen any personal benefit, but I apologize.
Well, you're in Canada. I mean, you're driving your truck across the border into the United States. What are you hauling?
I have logs right now that are going to become telephone poles.
We do not need Canadian logs. We've got logs in America. That's an example. We should not be importing wood from Canada. We've got plenty of wood here. That's part of the problem.
I agree.
I wonder what the tariff is on that Canadian lumber. Those Canadian telephone poles, I wonder what's the tariff, Oh, my goodness. I hope it's high.
Right.
I hope there's a high tariff when you enter the United States on your load.
I'm sure there is, but I won't see any extra off.
Well, here's the problem.
It is.
You're a good guy. I mean, but sometimes we have bad governments. Like we had Biden for 4 years, Obama for 8, Clinton for 8, George. Canada.
Totally agree.
Canada's ripping off the United States. We are supporting your entire country. Yeah. We pay for your socialized health care, your national defense. We're funding your country, and Canada's ripping us off.
True.
You stole Detroit's auto industry, moved our auto industry to Canada. I mean, it's awful. And then you charge us tariffs as high as 200 and 300% on some farm products. I mean, it's crazy. And the Canadian ripoff of America is going to end. You know, Canada has been betraying the United States since 1775. You didn't join us in the Great Revolution against England, and you've been messing with us ever since.
Wow.
It's true.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it from all of that. So, yeah, that's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Brian, and I like the sour apple flavors myself.
All right, take care.
Have a good fucking day, bud.
All right. Oh, my goodness. 6-time Mike, dump button in a Canadian accent. If you're on hold, stand by. We're going to wait for the delay to re-engage. Again, 6 dumps in a day. I mean, and we're not even halfway through the show yet. We are going for the record. Oh, man. Now, while I'm waiting for the delay to build back up, there's no better time to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. You know, I weighed myself on Monday, and I told you guys I lost 35 pounds. I'm going to weigh myself tomorrow morning because I've lost more weight, and I know that because on Monday I put a new hole in my belt, and my pants are falling down now. They weren't falling down on Monday, so I've lost some more weight from Coastal Weight Loss Secret, another pound or two. You know, Coastal Weight Loss Secret's absolutely amazing. I'm eating foods I would normally eat. I'm not taking any prescription medication like Ozempic, and I'm doing 0 exercising. Unless you count hitting the dump button 6 times in an hour and 20 minutes of exercise. I'm exercising a finger. That's it. And I've lost all this weight, and I'm still losing. You know, I weigh what I weighed when I got married, and this year will be my 29th wedding anniversary. I lost my belly, had a little belly. You know, I'm 54 years old. Everybody gets a belly. When you get older, it's gone. I have a flat stomach. I've lost, I don't know how many inches off my waist. It works. If you want to lose weight, call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And I'm never hungry. You know, if you guys remember before Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I was always like, oh, I can't wait to get off the air. I'm starving. I'm not even hungry. If you want to lose 20 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, 150 pounds or more, give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. All right, the delay is re-engaged. We'll take a call or two before the bottom of the hour. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Ruthie from Florida, Orlando, Florida.
Hey, Orlando, Florida. What's up?
Listen, I have a couple of things I want to say. The first thing, I used to live in New York City, in Queens all my life, and I was a liberal. And 2 years and a half, I moved to Florida, and I am so glad because I feel this is the land of the free. Because New York City with Letitia James and with AOC is sinking down the hole.
Yeah.
I used to live over there, and there was crime. I couldn't come out. It was really ridiculous. And I don't understand why these liberals, especially me that I'm Spanish, go for the Democrat Party when their average is 21%, you average approval rating, when they really are not for us. I mean, I had to learn the hard way, but I started to realize that the Republican is the only way for us to be actually normal because they have common sense.
That's right.
But it just makes me, it boils my blood when I see all these crazy liberals talking about Trump when Trump is for the people. You know, I had to learn it the hard way, and I said, oh my God, he's just common sense. They're doing everything abnormal, especially the one from Maryland. I'm a domestic violence survivor. I had to leave and run from my state because a crazy man that was illegal was after me. And you're going to try to tell me that you want to bring somebody like that back into America? You got to be kidding. You got to be crazy to think something like that.
Well,
I don't understand what's going on.
And you
with
know what?
people.
These Democrats, they're trying to bring this wife beater back to the home with the wife he beat up, and he beat her bad, black eyes and bloodied and everything. Why would they put a spousal abuser, a wife beater, back at home with the woman he was beating up all the time?
That's what I don't get it. They lost their logic. They don't understand anything. They have the Trump derangers of syndrome that they can't even think straight. I'm at this moment, I'm like furious. I'm a domestic violence survivor. I wouldn't want that man that beat me for many years to come back that is an immigrant legal. And I did call on him, and he's back to his country, and I am so glad. because I
Oh,
wouldn't want
wait. The
someone
guy
like
that
in America.
the guy that beat you up is back in his own country?
Yes,
What country is that?
Dominican Republic.
Oh, that's awesome. So he's not coming back. You know, spousal abuse or beating women, you're no longer eligible for visas or citizenship.
That's right, and that's why I'm saying I'm one that's going to speak about this, because I understand these people don't understand what it is. You usually intimidated by these people because they threaten they're going to kill you. This is probably why she was, at the beginning talking, and then she stopped, because this is a gang member. He's going to intimidate her and tell her what to do, unless he's going to kill her or the family will kill her. Something is going to happen, but these people are so idiots, they can't even see straight.
Well, it's not unusual.
America.
It's not unusual for abused women like Garcia's wife to go back home to the abuser. That happened.
Right.
It's sadly, and it's hard to understand, but it happens all the time.
It does. It really does. It does. I did it 2 or 3 times to where I realized this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
This is a life to death scenario. So people that don't get it, just stay quiet. We want people in America, like Trump says, that could be constructive, that could come in the right way, like many people came in the right way. He's not against immigration. He loves immigration, but we got to do it the right way.
That's right.
We got to vet people before coming in. This can't be like this. This can't be out of order country. Like every country you go, you got to show your passport. You got to show how you're going to present yourself to get in. So why this country should be any different? It doesn't make sense. This is just ridiculous for all these crazies.
Well, listen, I got to run for a bottom of the hour break, but I'm glad you escaped the monster, and thanks for calling, and welcome to the program. I hope to talk to you again.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Wow, what a brave woman, and she's standing up for abused women everywhere. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. If you're on hold, stand by. Back after this. What a brave woman that was. Brave woman. Yeah, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. This is a radio station break for the bottom of the hour. We'll be back in just over a minute. Yeah, 1 minute, we'll be back. Now, she was a great caller, that lady. Orlando, Florida. Great caller. Yeah, I don't like dirty martinis. If you're on hold, hang in there, guys. We are back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. It is open phones every Friday on the program. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. You could call in about any and everything on your mind on Friday's show. Monday through Thursday, we try to corral you and herd you into talking about the topics we bring up. But on Friday's show, the show prep is up to you guys. 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I am Donald from Georgia.
All right, Donald in Georgia. What's on your mind?
I was asking, why should Trump have more than 3 terms?
Why should he?
Yes.
Because he's so great. He's the greatest president of my lifetime, and perhaps the greatest president in the history of the United States. He's the only president we've had that doesn't represent special interest, but is doing everything he can do to help the American people. Like, look, he's getting ready to the next tax bill. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. I mean, that's amazing what he's doing.
But don't you think the tariffs would kind of defeat the purpose of
No, because as I was talking about earlier, what he's talking about are reciprocal tariffs. So the other countries of the world are going to reduce their import taxes so that we reduce ours to the same. So no, prices will probably, when this is all settled, prices will go down because tariffs are going to go down that these other countries are ripping us off with.
But I thought they were based on the deficit we have with them.
No, tariffs are not. Tariffs are arbitrary. You can set them whatever you want. You just make up a number. And countries around the world have 80% tariffs, 150% tariffs on us. And we have like none on some of these countries.
Well, back to what I was talking about, like term-wise, the only president who's ever had more than 2 terms was FDR, and that was because of a war.
No, it wasn't because of a war. Franklin Roosevelt was a racist Democrat and a narcissist. And before him, there had been a tradition of just 2 terms. There was no constitutional amendment, okay? And George Washington started that, right? And they wanted to make him president for life. And after FDR died, they passed a constitutional amendment limiting it to two terms.
So you don't think that it would kind of defeat the purpose of a democracy if a president was to serve like over and over again?
No, because the people would vote for them. That is democracy. Maybe we lose our democracy by not being able to vote for him a third time. Members of Congress can be in there for 3,000 years, right?
I don't agree with how they do things in Congress.
Well, that's the way it is. No, I think ending the term limits is a very good idea, and I support that. And I would vote for Trump in 2028 and 2032 and 2036 and 2040. Absolutely.
But I mean, like, if he just like stops, if he just like vanish, and like just a bad day happens and he's no longer with us, you think his son's gonna carry the?
Well, no, J.D. Vance would become the president if something like that happened.
No. I mean, like after his term's up.
Maybe. Who knows?
Like,
after his term is up, who knows? Who knows? But I know this. We've never had a president like President Trump that's done the things that he's doing in the way that he's doing them. And he's amazing and perfect. See, how old are you?
I am turning 19.
You're turning 19. So who's the first president that you can remember being president?
Obama.
Yeah, Obama.
I don't really
see. You don't have enough experience. I mean, you Obama, who was a complete disaster and messed this country up on so many levels. He had 3 terms. He had his 2 terms, and then the last 4 years he was running the Biden White House. Obama had 3 terms. So why not Trump?
I thought Biden was in Barack.
No, Barack Obama was running the White House. Barack Obama was running the show.
Because wasn't Biden like the vice president for Trump?
No.
Trump.
Oh my
I mean,
God. For Obama. Yes,
Barack.
he was Obama's vice president for 3 terms, including the last 4 years. Yes. Do you not like President Trump?
I don't.
Why not?
I don't.
Why not?
I'm not.
Why
for
don't?
him, but
why,
I'm not against him
you're
either.
not. Why are you not for President Trump?
I think he's like deporting people without due process.
Oh, well, then you're just uninformed. You're talking about this Maryland man, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no, he's
right.
gotten his due process. He's gotten his due process. He went in front of an immigration judge, a federal immigration judge, and they said deport him. He had lawyers, and they appealed that decision to the appellate court, the appeals court. The federal appeals judge said deport him. He went before 2 federal judges. He had an appeal. That's due process.
But then why do they want to facilitate his return?
Because Democrats hate Trump. They've got Trump derangement syndrome. And anything Trump does, they oppose. But he got due process through the legal system. Yeah. More than most.
So why do you, like, you don't seem like against the tariffs at all.
No, not at all. You know, a country I got a call from a guy in Canada, a truck driver in Canada a little while ago. Canada charges us huge tariffs on products they bring into this country, including American cars that they make in Canada. And our tariffs against them are much, prior to what Trump's done, much lower than theirs. They're not equal. And what Trump is talking about doing, he talks about reciprocal tariffs. Do you know what he means by that?
I have no idea what he means.
Well, this is why you're not supporting Trump. You just don't know. I'm going to educate you. President Trump is saying that our tariffs will be whatever that country's tariffs are against us. So if a country has a 10% tariff on U.S. goods coming into their country, we're going to have a 10% tariff on them. If they have an 80% tariff on American goods coming into their country, we're going to have an 80% tariff on them. So what he's doing is getting these countries around the world to lower their tariffs against American goods. Like, he talks about this a lot. If you go to Europe, there's no American cars in Europe because they have such high tariffs on U.S. auto makers importing into Europe. He's equalizing the tariffs, so prices will actually go down over the tariffs.
I just thought they just had better manufacturing overseas.
No, not at all.
That's what I thought.
Not at all. No. They've been ripping us off. So what President Trump is doing is just he wants our tariffs to be what the other countries are. So the other countries are actually going to lower their tariffs against American goods, and Trump will lower ours against them to whatever level theirs is against us. Import taxes will go down.
Oh, I was going to say, the only reason that concerns me is because don't we get most of our stuff from China?
Well, sadly, we get a lot of things from China. Yes, the Democrats and the American labor unions drove manufacturing to China. But companies every day meet with Trump at the White House, and they're moving back to this country. So when they move back to this country, there's no tariffs. He's moving manufacturing back to America. That's part of his goal here. So we're not dependent on our enemy, China, for things like prescription medications.
But you don't think that the tariffs will just will worsen the price of living for the average American?
No, I just explained it to you. Do you live on your own or with your parents? Have you moved out or do you live with your parents?
My parents.
So what do you care? You're not paying for anything.
I mean, people still pay for sales tax. I mean,
why? You know, when I was 19, I was out on my own, had my own apartment. I was working full time. Why are you still living with your parents?
I mean, the economy is different, man.
The economy is different. No, it's not. What do you do for a living? Do you work?
Not currently.
You're a 19. Wait a minute. You're a 19-year-old man. You live with mommy and daddy. And you don't work?
No, not currently. No.
Why not?
I mean, I just haven't found.
Haven't found? Yeah. What do your parents tell you about that? Do they want you to get a job? Oh, he hung up. He doesn't want to talk about it. He hung up. Oh, man. Oh, man. You know, there's just no work ethic with these Gen Zers. No work ethic. They don't want to work. There are 2 openings on the board at 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I want to tell you about the incredible offer to get your free doorbell camera from Slomin's with the installation of your Slomin Shield. You guys, this is a great offer. It also makes a great gift for your adult kids on their own, for grandma, grandpa, your parents, or yourself in your own home. You can get a doorbell camera that connects directly to your cell phone for free with the installation of your Slomin Shield. Slomin's is also going to give, I mean, that's an amazing deal right there, isn't it? It certainly is. Slomin's is also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. They give you an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts for your doors and windows, a lifetime warranty, and a backup battery. Plus, you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Slomin's Shield. Give them a call right now. 1-833-283-5050. 1-833-283-5050. That's 1-833-283-5050. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. If you're on hold, stand by. Back right after this. Oh, boy. If you're on hold, hang in there, guys. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Okay, every line on the board is full. Not one opening. Someone just hung up. One opening on the board. If you're on hold, hang in there. Pretty good calls today. A little more than a minute, and we will be back. One minute. Oh, man, great calls today. One opening on the board. 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. It is the last segment of the second hour of our Open Phone Friday, Open MAGA Mic Friday. Great calls today. There's not an opening on the board at 1-888-465-2631. Let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Louise, the masked lady in Boca.
Hey, Louise.
Yes, I'm really concerned about what happened with Putin bombing Ukraine. Any word? I don't suppose
Trump said
that
Trump was not happy. He told him to stop doing that.
I know. I'm surprised. I really am surprised.
Putin gave President Trump that great fight painting the other day, and then he did that and he messed up.
Yes.
Maybe it was a rogue general. Maybe it was a rogue Russian general that did it.
Well, I hope it was him, a rogue general and not Putin.
Yeah, me too.
But anyway, I guess we'll be watching to see what the outcome of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm concerned. I mean, why do you think?
Well, there's a war going on, and when there's a war going on, things happen sometimes.
Yeah.
Sadly, I mean, if Zelensky would have signed the darn mineral agreement at the White House, this war would be over.
I know.
So it's really, in many ways, Zelensky's fault.
Yes, I can understand that. Well, I hope the outcome is, a good one,
Mm-hmm.
a decent one when he talks to Putin, because that's got me a little worried.
No, don't worry. Trump's the president. Nothing to worry about. You got nothing to worry about.
Okay.
Unless you're calling me from Ukraine. All right, appreciate the call. That's Louise the Mask Lady wearing a mask in 2025. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. This is Dave in Royal Palm.
Hey, Dave.
And the thing I wanted to bring up is, before the lady leaves from the Department of Education, maybe they could do something intelligent, like, change how sex ed or health ed is done, as well as put in classes where they actually teach young people.
Well, I said, I went to 13 years of public education. That's including kindergarten. I never failed. I never had sex ed from K through 12. Sex education, sexual education, you don't teach that in school. It's taught in movie theaters and parked cars.
Exactly. And they should teach kids things like mortgages, interest, life skills.
Or if you listen to some of these younger callers I get, maybe they should teach a work ethic.
Exactly. How did the teacher get to where he is in that classroom? He had to go to school and
could you
study.
imagine? How old are you?
I'm 70.
Okay, you're much older than me. I'm 54. So we're different generations, all right? You're a baby boomer, I guess. I'm a Gen X. If I could, my parents, there's no way they would let me at 19 years old loaf around the house and not have a job. That's crazy. That would never happen.
Exactly. And, I think part of the problem is it's kind of built into the system that the people that hire teachers, they hire who they like, and that happens to be a lot of green-haired people.
Well, no, you see, anytime I ask these young bums, the job market, McDonald's, Chipotle, I see help wanted signs at these places all the time. They just don't want to work in those kind of jobs.
A friend of mine, he's a kid. I got to know him, kind of pushed him a little bit. He's in the neighborhood. And the kid is 24. He has his own marine cleaning business. He's making thousands a week.
There's all
And
kinds.
he does
Let me
is
tell
go
you
out and
something.
work.
There is more opportunity for young people to make money today than ever before. They don't even have to leave their house with all the technology, you know. And there's no work ethic. They're lazy. Gen Z are bums. It's sad. That one guy, I felt bad. He hung up. You know, I guess when I asked what his parents say about him not working, it was too close to home. You know, that, or maybe he's not used to hearing parenting. Maybe his parents are some millennials that don't parent. I don't know, but
And I think one thing schools have done is they have, over the past 50 years, narcissized so many young people.
Narcissized? What's that? Narcissistic? Like narcissist?
Turned them into narcissists.
Oh, well, that's social media. Yeah.
Yeah, and they just don't think they're two-dimensional now. They have no depth. It's all about
look at
appearance,
look
how
at
you
me.
look,
I mean,
how
look
you
at me
sound.
at 54. You know, I've got multiple jobs and things going on, right? I do the radio show. I got my YouTube channel. I got my podcast. You know, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. But if you're a millennial, you just sit back and, I guess, wait for whatever. The parents to die and leave you whatever they've worked for. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, so maybe is her name McMahon at Education?
Yes.
And hopefully, she clearly understands, what hard work is. And hopefully they can put constructive classes into schools instead
I wonder
of these
if
classes
like we used to have like auto shop and wood shop and drafting and stuff. I don't wonder if they have that in school now, or is it all gender studies and things like that? I don't know. Do you think they have like vocational education anymore?
Well, the high school I went to was one of the first in the country back in the early 60s. Johnson dedicated it. It was a vocational wing to a high school in Prince George's County. It was giant. It had auto shop, bricklaying, welding, air conditioning, it had computers.
It was a vocational school. It was a vocational school.
Yes. Well, it was a regular high school. We had the academics and the shop. And the shop people knew they were going to be in trades, and they took just the academic classes.
We used to have this thing called work experience, where you went to class like 4 or 5 classes a day, and then they went to work for the rest. It was like called work experience. They don't do any of that now. They just sit around and read the 1619 Project and talk about different genders, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I had a girlfriend in high school for a while. She was in cosmetology. She had 3 years of all that in high school. They were ready for a profession right when they got 18 to go into these things: bricklaying, welding, you name it, air conditioning.
That's how it was. Like when I was in high school, we got out at 2:35 in the afternoon, and I had to be at work at 4. Right? I mean, that's just how it worked. But now
it was,
lazy.
Yeah, and when I was in 10th grade, I would drive about 2 miles and wash dishes at night 4 nights a week in high school.
Is this Sean Hannity? You sound like Sean Hannity with all these jobs. He goes through his resume all the time.
Well, it was a good way to meet girls in high school.
That's true. That's true. Well, a lot of these a lot of these guys, they're not interested in girls. And even if they are, most of the girls aren't interested in guys. It's a mess. All right, take care, man. Appreciate the call. Oh, man. All right, let's go here. Let's see. The phones are ringing off the hook. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Miss Sam. I'm from Los Angeles.
All right. I might be in L.A. this weekend.
Oh, you have to come see me.
No, I'm going to fly out to...
I see you online.
No, my daughter lives there. I might go out and see my daughter this weekend.
That's awesome. We should all meet up for drinks.
I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to... I'm not going to Hollywood.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm not. We're on different teams.
Fuck.
There we go. It's 7th dump of the day, Mike. Mike, the board op and I, we were talking during the break, and Mike thinks we may have hit a record with the dump button today on today's show. What do you guys think? Those of you that are longtime listeners, we still have over an hour to go, and we've had to use the dump button 7 times. Well, I think we've got a record. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. We found Tom Laporta is great. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need. And I know so many listeners in this audience have had roof repair and replacements done with Tom Laporta. He does both residential and commercial. He can handle the job of any size, whether it's a single-family home, a single office building, or an HOA community with 350 units. He can handle the job of any size. But we found him out of necessity. Steve Kane needed a new roof, and he had a wet spot on his ceiling. You don't want to do this, and he ignored it, and that wet spot got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we found Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. And let me tell you, he did such an incredible job on Steve's roof. You know, you don't want to ignore a wet spot on your ceiling. Steve had to replace his roof. 40% of the drywall in his house was filled with that deadly black mold. The dampness called this termite problem. You see a wet spot on your ceiling, you got a leak in your roof. Call Tom Laporta. Maybe you'll just need a simple repair. Here's his number, 954. Oh, by the way, this is Tom Laporta's cell phone number, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. Make sure you tell him you heard about him on the Steve Kane Show. Back after this. If you're on hold, hang in there. There are 2 openings on the board. The number is pinned in... Oh, no, 1 opening on the board. The number is pinned in the live chat. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll go back to the phones after the break. Just over a minute, we'll be back. No, the dump button is we dump that language. It doesn't go out over the radio. That's what the dump button does when they use the language. We're on a 10-second delay. So when you hit the dump button, it cuts that out. We just use it more than most shows. Because liberals have no class or common decency or communication skills. So when I say hit the dump button, that's what that means, for those that don't know. One opening on our very busy board of calls. We are back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Hour number 3 has begun on this open phone, open MAGA mic Friday. On Friday's show, I was just talking to someone during the break. They said, what's your topic today? And I said, it's open phones, open MAGA mic Friday. The show prep is up to you and the audience today. You don't have to talk about anything that I brought up. I opened up at the beginning of the 6 o'clock hour with a few things, but the show prep is up to you in the listening audience on Friday. All right, every line on the board is lit. Let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Craig. This is Lenny from Coconut Creek.
Hey, Lenny.
How you doing?
Great.
Well, in regard to Trump 28, I'm going to be 72, and God willing, until God takes my hand, I'm hoping to be around at least for another 20 years. And I pray to God, first of all, I give you all the praise that, for your patience and tolerance on the calls that you've received today. It's absolutely ridiculous that these liberals are, suffering from, an overload of TDS. That
it's going to get worse. I mean, we're just approaching the 100 days of the second term. They're already having meltdowns. It's going to get worse.
But look at the accomplishments. I live my life on honesty, integrity, and due diligence. Unfortunately, the left is total opposite, and all they're looking for is
the Democrats used to own black people, and when the Republicans said you can't own black people anymore, they launched an insurrection against the federal government of the United States, known as the Civil War. I mean, these are terrible people. But I'll tell you this, okay? They've got this false narrative that Trump voters regret voting for Trump. Here we are wanting him to run in 2028. So that does it. One of the reasons President Trump, I ordered my Trump 2028 hat yesterday from the official Trump store. They're sold out. They're on back order. I don't know when it'll arrive. Hopefully soon. But one of the reasons President Trump is talking about Trump 2028, and it has so much support, is to point out that this is a fake news story that Trump voters regret their vote.
Yeah, they just, they don't want to look at the reality of, unfortunately, people have a very low patience level, and Trump is a man, when he says he's going to do something,
That's
the
right.
problem is Trump doesn't. Not only Trump, but the current administration they're working. People don't realize that.
That's right. That's why it does. They're not. You're exactly right. They're working. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call from Coconut Creek. That's right. All right. There's one opening on the board where Coconut Creek was. Let's go. Oh, wrong line. Okay. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice, 3 times. All right. You missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Chris from Pompano Beach.
Hey, Chris.
But, hey, great show, man. I tell you, this is definitely one for the archives with an asterisk.
Oh, you think today? This will be a good best of show. Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and think about it. Yeah. One of your wacko liberals called and mentioned that you're making a good case for those to become liberal. And listen, that's the reason why your show should be nationally syndicated, so more and more liberals can hear people like him and say, you know what, enough of this.
Yeah.
Because they don't seem to want to acknowledge any truths, any facts.
If they would have, let me tell you, if they would have given me that Bongino time slot, I would national on that. I would do the same thing, screenless calls. I would just have more lines.
And it would be so awesome. I tell you, that's half the knowledge right there. I mean, you're great at sharing the information. You don't really, you don't rip their heads off, and you could. But
I do when necessary. But a lot of times, these liberals, they do themselves in, just by talking and answering some of the questions. I mean, did you hear that 19-year-old that his parents, he lives with mommy and daddy, and he doesn't work, and his parents go to work every day? When I did a little parenting with him, he hung up. A little snowflake.
Absolutely. Jimmy and I were just talking about that. It says, while we were growing up, because I'm 61, Jimmy's 62, and same thing. He says, there's no way at 18, 19, 23, we would be at home and parents put up with being lazy, and, no way.
My parents, let me tell you, if I was trying to pull that, when they went to work in the morning, they'd make me leave and they'd lock me out of the house.
Absolutely. My mother had to do that to one of my one of her nieces that came to stay with her.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to sit at home all day and watch TV while they're working. That's crazy.
Absolutely amazing. But I wanted to say real quick with more outlets getting out there. I watched the White House press secretary who's sharp, very sharp, and just about every conference they introduce a new media outlet, and I love it because there are more and more media outlets who are open and letting all the other their subscribers reach out and answer questions for them. So I guess I'm saying more and more media outlets are coming up that are reaching those who otherwise wouldn't be reached through the usual, big media outlets.
They got that one girl. I saw an interview. They got that one girl that works for Steve Bannon that's like 20-something years old, and she looks like a Hooters girl. And she's very smart. I mean, she cleaned the clock of Christopher Steele on Piers Morgan a couple weeks ago. I played some of that. And she was interviewed by this journalist, and he said, "Do you consider yourself a journalist?" And she says, "You guys failed us. You failed the country. That's why people like me are being invited to the White House, because you're a failure. She said you had this president incoherent for 4 years. You never reported it."
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing. So, there's steps taken, and more, people are getting out. You mentioned earlier about the independents. They said that was the great thing about President Trump's last campaign. A large group of independents surfaced. And I've always been that way. Right now, I'm actually no party affiliated for the last couple of elections. And I tell everyone, hey, there hasn't been an election since 1984, and I haven't voted for both a Democrat and a Republican.
Yeah.
As soon as you call yourself a Democrat, you're going to be biased, right, wrong, or indifferent. And follow along like
yeah, but you really but you can't vote you can't vote in the Republican primaries.
Well, that's the only thing, and that's the times that I've switched in the past. Different primaries to vote for different candidates, but you know what? The general election, we all can vote who we want.
That's right.
Regardless of your standing, and that's awesome. But you're right. There's been a couple of times I've had to do that just for the primaries.
That's right. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call.
But have a good one. Have a good weekend.
All right, take care. Chris is a good guy. He's a retired cop. He's a big guy. He looks like a linebacker. And he actually volunteered to do security for me at the Barry Siegel workshop I went to. Because I had there's a listener who's been causing me some problems. And Chris, he's just a listener like you guys. And he's a client of Attorney Barry Siegel. But he gave me some free security, which was nice. Before I get back to the phones, because I wanted to mention this about Hooters. You hear all these stories of Hooters going bankrupt and the closing down locations. And I hear these stories on the Financial Talk and all this stuff, and nobody wants to say why do you think Hooters is failing? I'm not going to troll for calls on this. I'm going to tell you in a second. Why is Hooters going out of business? You know why? It's all this gender stuff. The guys that are of the age that go to Hooters aren't into Hooters anymore. Right? They've done all this gendering and the gay and all this stuff. They're not interested in hot girls in clothes that are too small for them. That's why Hooters is going out of business. I wonder what other businesses have been affected by all this gender stuff that's been going on. I don't know, but Hooters, that's why they're having financial problems. Nobody went to Hooters for the wings. You go to Wings Plus for the wings. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
Hello.
Yep, you're on the. What's your name?
I'm sorry.
What?
My name is Mark. I'm calling from New York.
Mark in New York.
Brian?
All right. What's up, Mark in New York?
Well, I'm curious because the Trump administration is saying that they're negotiating with countries. Are they saying what countries?
Yesterday, President Trump said China. India, yeah. They're not talking about all of them because they're keeping it on the down low. But yeah, President Trump yesterday said China, and J.D. Vance said they're negotiating with India that has high tariffs, but there's over 30 of them. They're just keeping it on the down low.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure, only because, of course, we know China is.
President Trump said yesterday that in the Oval Office that his team had a meeting with China yesterday morning.
I know Trump said that, but all the people from the leaders of China are saying that they're calling.
Well, they're
it
lying.
Fake news.
They're lying. Well, who do you believe, China or Trump?
I don't know at this point.
You don't know? Are you MAGA?
Yeah. No, I'm not MAGA.
What's wrong with you? Why not?
But I do. I root for the country.
No. Why are you not a Trump? You sound like a tough guy. Why are you not supporting Trump?
I guess I don't believe in what he's doing.
What is he doing that you don't believe in?
Tariffs.
What don't you believe in?
I don't think the whole tariff thing is going to work.
It is working.
It
is working. Don't you see all these press conferences he has of companies moving back to America or coming to America for the first time?
I mean, the way I see it is because I own a company. I paid my first tariff a week ago, and then we raise our prices.
What was the tariff on? What was it on? What kind of product?
It was beauty products. Beauty products.
From where?
From
where?
From Italy.
Okay.
From Italy,
okay.
Europe.
Well, okay. That's another country that's negotiating with Trump. Maloney, this great prime minister. They're negotiating right now with the Trump administration. But if you've been buying, hold on a second. If you've been buying products from Italy, you haven't been paying tariffs on them before?
No.
Well, that's the problem. They charge us tariffs on our products into Italy, and they're expensive. My wife went to college in Italy, and she was talking about, like, there was a store that sold, like, American goods, like Oreos and Doritos and Lay's potato, and the prices were through the roof because of the Italian tariffs. That's the problem. We had no tariffs on their goods, but they're charging us through the nose in Italy. Trump's correcting that.
Two things. One is who pays the tariff? Obviously, my customers are paying the tariff because I have to raise my prices.
But in the end, why are you buying products from Italy and not America?
Well, there are some products that can't be made here, and even if they were to be made here and they tried to, it's going to take like 5 years to build those factories to make them here.
No. But if they get the tariffs back in order, it'll be back to normal. In the end, the tariff. How much was the tariff?
It was 10% because they did the 90-day. It was going to be more, but they did the 90-day delay.
But come on, you're smart enough to understand the reciprocal tariffs, and you're a businessman. You know what he's doing.
But what made me concerned the other day was when they said that they were negotiating with South Korea.
What was the makeup product you bought?
I don't want to say.
What? Nobody knows who you are. Come on.
No, that's okay. But
come on.
More importantly, he said he was negotiating.
Was it a lipstick? Was it a hair product? What kind of beauty product?
He said he was negotiating with South Korea, right?
Yeah.
He just said that the other day. South Korea and the U.S. have had free trade, no tariffs either way, for decades.
No, there's tariffs on some products. If he's negotiating with them, there's tariffs on some things. I don't know, but if there's sometimes when you hear free trade, a lot of times, what that means is we don't have a tariff on them, but they have a tariff on us. Oftentimes, I'm not sure about South Korea, but a lot of countries we have zero tariffs on them, but they have tariffs on us. South Korea may be one of those. But I think it's odd that you won't even tell us a product.
Because I deal with a lot of different people, so
nobody would know. Okay, all right. I appreciate you take the word of China over Trump. I question everything about your call. All right, appreciate the call, but I think you're full of it. I'll tell you what I'm not full of, and that's pain. Oh my goodness. When Dr. Appleton rid me of pain the first time, it was in my right knee. I had suffered since I was 21 years old with pain in my right knee, and it was bad. And I had it for so long, over 30 years. I just, well, that's, it's going to be that way forever. And I went to Dr. Appleton. He treated me with his laser wave pain treatment. My knee pain disappeared over 30 years of suffering, and it has not returned. It was the first pain he relieved me of over 2.5 years ago. And he rid me of pain 6 more times after that for a total of 7. And I have met and spoken with many listeners in this audience, some of them you hear in commercials, that are living a pain-free life because of Dr. Philip Appleton. When I go to Dr. Appleton's office, I meet listeners. I met a guy, he's a carpenter, and he was in there for his knees because he spends all his life on his knees with the carpet, installing carpet. Oh my goodness. He's pain-free. Thanks to Dr. Philip Appleton. Stop living with pain. It's not a part of growing older. His laser wave pain treatment works. There's no shots, no injections, no medications, no downtime. Dr. Appleton performs all the laser treatments himself, not an assistant, and appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. Give Dr. Appleton a call, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. It's a free consultation, by the way, and if you have scans or x-rays, bring them with you. Dr. Appleton will be happy to look at them. Online at AppletonChiro.com. Go see Dr. Appleton and say bye-bye to your pain. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you're on hold, hang in there. I think we've had really good calls on the show today. What do you guys think? I think the calls have been spectacular on today's show. Absolutely. So my pants are falling down because of all the weight I lost. Do you guys believe that last caller that believes China over Trump, that he paid a tariff on products from Italy? He wouldn't tell us what he buys. What do you guys think? I don't believe him. I think he's full of it. What do you guys think? Was he full of it? I think he was. Yeah, BS, I agree. I agree. This has been one of the better call days on Open Manga Mike Friday. Very good calls. I think he's lying. I didn't ask him his business name or anything else, which you think he'd want to give out to get publicity for his business for free, but I didn't ask him that. Just asked him what the product was. Lipstick, hair product, he wouldn't tell me. We are back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Callers on hold, stand by. You know, that last caller about the tariffs said we have that there's no tariffs with South Korea. I just looked this up. Just did a Google search. Right now, South Korea's tariffs on imported agricultural goods are 54%. So they're charging us 54% tariffs on agriculture products. And our tariffs against them are 9%. That's nuts. South Korea's average tariff on non-agricultural goods is more than twice that of the United States. On non-agricultural goods, South Korea charges American companies 6.6%. We charge only 3.2% to them. See, that's what we're talking about. We got a 3.2% tariff. They got a 6.6%, or in the case of agriculture, 54% they have against us to our 9%. They're ripping us off. Not only are they ripping us off, we saved their country during their civil war with North Korea and China. And we maintain the DMZ at the 38th parallel and have done it since the end of the war. And they're ripping us off like that? Holy smokes. No more K-dramas for me on Netflix until they fix that. They're ripping us off. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Steve, Martin County.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing, Brian?
All right.
You know, I'm at work and I'm listening to your show. It's a great show, and these liberals that are calling in, it's pathetic. And we should call Friday Lunatic Liberal Friday Crybaby Day.
Yeah.
Every liberal that calls in gets a free box of tissue, and they could cry because it's disgusting. I'd be embarrassed to be a Democrat today. I really would.
I would too. Yeah.
They hate America. They hate Trump. They hate themselves.
Yeah.
These people, something went wrong in their life, in their family, to be this sour, to be this miserable, to hate your country, to hate a president. There's something wrong.
Yeah. I
You
am.
know, they're losing big time, Brian. They have no policies. They have no common sense. They're on the side of the criminal. It's just, there's no words that could. I just don't understand.
Well,
And there's so many of them.
if you listen to them, they've all got a dysfunction, right? Racist, lazy, you know what I mean? Daddy issues. You know, most Democrats have some type of immorality or dysfunction in their life that makes them a liberal.
It's very sad. It's a very, very, very sad situation.
Yeah, but
and there's so many.
Not as many as there used to be, though.
Right.
All right, man. Appreciate the
Even
call.
if I was a Democrat, I'd say I'm an independent, just because it's so
I'd be
embarrassing.
embarrassed. I mean,
Yeah.
No, I'd be embarrassed of this. Yeah. All right. Appreciate the call, man. Good call. All right. I got to tell you, this is one of the better Open MAGA Mike Fridays. All the calls have been great. Even these liberal idiots, I've enjoyed them. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm not going to get the time to say what I got to say this morning.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
I
a
gotta
busy
tell you-
day, Richie. I'm sorry.
Well, this has to do with everything that's going on in this country.
Well, stop
Those who are against
stop
President-
whining and just say what you want to say. We'll get as much in as we
Yeah,
can.
those who are against President Trump are very selfish. He's only trying to do what the right thing to do for everybody. Example, New York City in the 50s, you can go on YouTube and look at it. Streets were packed with people because people had factories, they were working, everyone had money in their pockets. The subways were safe, the trains, because people didn't have to worry about somebody hitting you over the head because they didn't have any money. In other words, all poverty, everything revolves around jobs, and factories. And we lost all of that. And these people that are against Trump are the same people that caused all these factories to leave this country in the first place.
That's right.
The guy from Italy, feel sorry for you, buddy.
I don't
But at
believe
the
that.
same
I don't
time,
believe that
you're-
guy in New York. He takes China's word over Trump, and he won't tell us what kind of products they are that he paid tariffs on. He's full of it.
Regardless, he's thinking about himself and he's worried about his customers. Baloney. If everyone has money in their pocket, the dollar is worth less than it ever did because credit card debt's out of the roof because people have no money in their pocket. People don't get it in this country. I mean, I could go on and on. I'm sorry it's going to be fast, but I really had a lot to say this morning, Brian. And it's not a matter. I'm 21 years older than you are, and I lived it. I saw it with my own eyes as a kid growing up. The streets were packed, people working. Those buildings in New York are empty now.
That's right. They're empty. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Disgusting. It is. All right, Rich, appreciate the call. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our bottom of the hour break and be right back. We'll be back in 30 seconds, so stand by. If you're on hold, hang in there. Well, thank you, guys. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, please like the video. And if all of you could take this program and share it on your socials, that would help too. That helps grow the channel a lot. Welcome back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio on this Open Phone, Open Maga Mike Friday. All right, back to the phones we shall go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning. This is Joanne from Pamela.
Hey, Joanne.
I am wondering something. I'm wondering something about the tariffs. Now, I know you couldn't do this with everything, because we don't import and export all the same things. But on things that, say, cheese from France, they have tariffs. Why can't we put the same tariff on our cheese that they
Well, that's what Trump's doing. That's what his plan is.
Yeah, but why can't we just automatically do that? Champagne, when they import from us, we put the same exact tariff that they have on our wines.
That's what President Trump is doing. All right, appreciate the call. You make some good points. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, Never Trumper Steve here in beautiful Palm City.
Yes.
This is not the topic that I really want to spend a little time on, and you only give me a little time, but I do want to respond first to the New Jersey guy who brought up the meme Trump coin. If any, and I thought he was going to go there, but he didn't, that Trump has elected to do a contest that the 20 people who spend the most money on this coin, which ends up going into Trump's pocket in the millions, get to have dinner with him and get a VIP tour of the White House. If that is not pay for play, I don't know what is.
Oh, really? You mean like when the
And I don't think-
that's interesting because I remember the Clintons were allowing donors of a certain level to spend the night in the Lincoln bedroom. And I remember some of the photos that came out were disgusting what Democrats were doing in there.
All right. Well, but he's president now. We can always work backwards. He's the
Presidents
president now.
presidents do fundraising, and part of that is access and meeting and tours all the time. It's his home.
It's pay for play. Okay, but anyway, I wanted to now.
No, it's
you
not
haven't
pay
had
for
the
play.
courage to go-
Pay for play would be like, okay, if you buy $10 million of his meme coin, he gives you a government contract. That's play for play. Hanging out for dinner and a house tour is not pay for play.
No, money going into his pocket is pay for play.
It's not pay for
His
play.
Pocket.
All right,
In
and it's not pay
in
for
the
play.
West. But anyway, let's go on to the other thing. You have not had the courage yet, and I don't think you ever will, given the numbers. The latest Fox News poll, in every category rating Trump, other than immigration, and that he's favorable on by a hair. All the other categories, he is way under.
Listen, I have been a big critic of Fox News. I don't follow polls, and I don't trust polls. And you know what happens with the news? They do push polling, so they can get a poll that's like a shocking story like that, so they got something to talk about. That means nothing to me.
But his has been pretty.
He's going to have President
accurate.
Trump is going to have a rally next week in Michigan. It's going to be sold out, even though it's free. It's going to be filled with tens of thousands of people. That's the polls I look at.
Okay, but here's your problem. When 88% of America says he better follow judges' orders, specifically the Supreme Court.
The judges are outlaws.
So far, he's not.
Well, so what? They're outlaws. They're outlaws. They have no authority over the president.
So democracy is out the window, according to you?
No, but it just doesn't. It doesn't work in the way that you want it to think. If you have a president who is committing crimes, high crimes or misdemeanors, it's not up to some judge in some district somewhere to make rulings. If a president is breaking the law, the Constitution has a process in place known as the impeachment. The House impeaches him, forcing a trial in the Senate. There's the trial, and then there's a vote.
And we're on our way.
Oh, really? We're on our way. Really? Okay. Well, then it'll happen.
If he loses Congress, either house, and according to the Supreme Court, you want to segregate the Supreme Court. They kicked back the Garcia thing back to the lower court and said facilitate his return. And they said
they don't have the authority to do that. They do not have the authority.
The Supreme Court also?
They do not have the
Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is not the supreme leader of the United States, and the president does not answer to them.
The Supreme Court interprets the laws. The Supreme Court interprets the Constitution.
So like Dred Scott. Remember Dred Scott? Blacks are slaves. Blacks are property. It's the same subject. I'm not changing. Listen, when you're losing an argument, it's not changing the subject. The Supreme Court does not have the authority to tell President Trump what to do with negotiations with foreign nations. That's not. They're outlaws. It is a judicial insurrection.
They decide if the laws have been broken in the United States.
If
when you're
the president has broken the law, it's up to the Congress to impeach him and try him.
Yes, and that's why I'm saying if he loses either house, he's in trouble for impeachment.
Now, if only if he no,
he acted illegally.
You get impeached.
He acted illegally.
You get impeached in the House of Representatives. So if we lose the House, you guys can impeach him, and then we'll have the trial, and that's the process. Not courts.
On the Fox News poll, he's in trouble, big time.
Well, if he's in trouble, why are you and the liberals calling me so unhappy? If he's going to be impeached, why are you guys so unhappy?
Why? Listen, whoever the president is, I want to be successful.
Oh, yes.
I don't want them to break the law.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's not breaking the law.
You're for Trump.
He's not breaking the law.
You make your money. That's how you make your money.
I did this before. Listen,
hold
on a second. I did this long before Trump. I've been doing this since 91. Steve's been doing this show since 77. This show was around doing very well before Trump. We love Trump. We support Trump. But no, we've always been like this. And I'll tell you another thing. The Supreme Court does not have the authority to say, President, whoever, you are commanded to do this foreign policy negotiation for a foreign government. That's not how it works. And you know it. You know it. Thanks for the call. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brian. This is JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ.
Hey, kind of a crazy dumpocrat day here.
Well, we've used the dump button 7 times on today's show. That may be a record.
I think you had to. I think you probably had to bring in a couple more dump trucks. That was crazy, but nonetheless, a good show. I was just going to mention some positive things here that are, look, we're not even 100 days in. Just 4 or 5 more days here at the end of the month. Trump's got, we've got like $7 trillion in capital investment coming in. We're deporting a lot of very bad people. The Democrats are doing what they're doing. They're trying to slow everything down. But gas is down. We've got, drill, baby, drill. I mean, and there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. I mean, we kind of got used to knowing everything that was going on in the government because of the Democrat Party and
they were a bunch of leakers.
Every agency was leaking.
Yeah,
they leaked everywhere.
There's no leaks here.
So and now we're getting back to a normal country where, eventually we won't have to. We can spend more time in normal life instead of trying to figure out if we're going to survive as a country or not, because we're on the way. And as far as Trump having more terms, I don't think he's going to, if it happens, great. I'd vote for the man for the rest of my life. But regardless of that, his policies and what he has done and what he is doing right now, he is reshaping the economic structure of the world, the political structure of the world. It's over for Democrats.
Well, he did you guys, now, because it's open phones, I have not gotten to any of my show prep. So I'm going to go through all that on my podcast later today. So make sure you guys look out for my podcast. But, Glenn Beck did an incredible interview with the president this week. And I'm going to play some clips on my podcast later today. But one of the things Glenn Beck said, you're changing our alliances from these World War II alliances. And President Trump says to Glenn Beck, he says, we rebuilt Europe at the end of the war, but we never stopped building them up. And those days are over. Yeah. And he's forming new alliances with true allies: Italy, Norway, El Salvador, right?
Correct.
And these old alliances from 1945, they're no good anymore.
They got used to. It's almost like the Democrats, the country. We slowly got led down this path of deception, and people it kind of got normalized, and now there's a shock. Abnormal is abnormal, and normal is normal. We're getting back to normal. We're getting rid of there's 2 parties in this country, if not the world. We've got normal, and we've got crazy. And crazy is the party that sits and doesn't stand up and clap for people like DJ Daniels. Crazy is...
By the way, that's the little boy who beat... That's the little boy at the State of the Union that beat brain cancer. They wouldn't applaud. Yeah, sickos.
They wouldn't applaud for him. And crazy goes down to El Salvador to have a margarita with a known terrorist
and a wife beater,
and supports a non-American wife beater. Who knows? This guy, by the time it's all over, Brian, every time I turn around, this guy has done something else. He's probably a pedophile cannibal. For all we know.
We should stick with what we know, and they're trying to put him back in the home with the woman he beats up.
Yeah, that's just not gonna. I don't see any of that happening. The Democrats, they're crazy. They can't stop themselves. But I wanted to mention this real quick. I think you're a fan of Jerome Corsi.
Absolutely.
Okay, Jerome Corsi, great guy. I love him. He wrote an article in the American Thinker with Lieutenant General Mike Flynn. And I don't know if you've seen the article, Brian, but it's definitely worth the read. It's the April 16th article. It has to do with Trump. I can't remember the damn title of the...
I'll look it up. Jerome Corsi and General Flynn. I'll look it up.
And General Flynn. Yeah,
Jerome Corsi's kind of disappeared. They kind of canceled him, but he's awesome.
Yeah, you gotta look for him, but he's a nugget of gold when you find this.
All right, listen, I gotta run because we're getting towards the end, but I appreciate the call. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, we have another segment to go. You're certainly welcome. And if you guys that watch me on YouTube, I spend half the show pulling up my pants and holding up my pants. And I weighed myself on Monday, and I told you guys I lost 35 pounds. And I haven't weighed myself since then, but it's Friday, and I know I've lost more weight because my pants are falling off, and the hole that I added to my belt isn't doing the job anymore. That's why I've been holding up my pants and pulling them up during the whole show. Coastal Weight Loss Secret's amazing. You know, I got my body back, you know. I mean, I got that little bit of a belly like you get when you're over 50. And I thought I was going to have that forever. I thought, oh, you know, all the other guys have them, so that's just it. You know, the dad bod. That's gone. I have a completely flat stomach. I even have definition in my body. I have the body that I had when I was 20, 21 years old. And you know what a lot of people tell me? You look younger. I get that a lot from people. You look younger. And I've lost a lot of weight and over 35 pounds now, thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Eating foods I would normally eat, zero exercise, and no medications, no prescription medications like Ozempic. It's amazing. It works. You can lose the weight too, and I'm never hungry. Remember, guys? I used to talk all the time. I'd be on the, I'm starving. I can't wait to go out the air so I can eat. And I'd wait to do the Wings Plus commercials towards the end of the show because I'd get hungry just talking about the great wings at Wings Plus on Sample Road in Coral Springs. But I'm not even hungry anymore, and I'm eating foods I would normally eat, like Wings Plus. You can do it too. Whether you want to lose 20 pounds, 100 pounds, 150 pounds, or somewhere in between, they can help you. I'm going to give you the number. When you call Coastal Weight Loss Secret, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll take our break and be back with the Gold Report. Hey, William, hold on. One opening on the board. Just over a minute, we'll be back. If you're on hold, hang in there. I may do an extended bit of show today afterwards, so I'll see when we get to 9. Sometimes I'll do just an online segment a couple days a week, usually on Mondays, Tuesdays, but we'll see. I got a lot to do, and I might be flying to California, so I'm waiting to hear from my daughter. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Time to check in for the final time this week with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how the metals looking?
Metals giving us that buying opportunity that we've been talking about. Yesterday, we saw gold regain $60.80 of its losses this week, trading in a range of $32.88 to $33.69. And closing out yesterday at $3,348.80. That was down, or that was up $60.80 per ounce. Silver was down a penny yesterday, closing at $33.53. Platinum lost $2 at $9.71, and palladium was up $11 at $9.33. Overnight, we saw gold trading in a range of $32.84 to $3,373 the ounce. And right now, gold's at $32.95. That's down $53.80, giving back most of yesterday's gains. But trying to establish, it looks like a base around that $3,300 number for gold. Once we've established a base, we can start building back up towards those record highs of $3,500 we saw.
Yeah.
Silver, $33.25 right now. That's down 27 cents. Silver's trying to build a base around 33, which was resistance there for a while. Platinum down $1 at $970, and palladium down $13 at $920 the ounce. So still giving us a great buying opportunity on the metals.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I talk to you from time to time about fractional gold because there's gold of so many different sizes. People, you know, a lot of people, they hear how much it's going for an ounce and, well, I don't have that much money. But can you talk to people about fractional gold? And gold comes in really small form, much less than an ounce, that is in most people's budget.
Yes, we have gold in anywhere from 1 gram bars all the way up to kilo bars. So you can get it in any size you want, and it's always affordable that way. We have fractional gold coins, the 1/10 ounce, quarter ounce, half ounce, and 1 ounce size coins of all the different countries. But in bar sizes, we have them as little as 1 gram. That's like 1/31st of an ounce of gold, so it's really small.
And gold is gold, and this a little bit of gold is worth a lot of money right now. You know, so it sure is. Listen, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. Stop in. If you can stop in and shop, you should. You don't have. You can do all your transactions over the phone and through the mail, but William Youngerman's shop is literally a museum. Your mind will be blown when you walk in. His address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. You can give him a call toll free. Again, he opens up at 10 a.m., 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010, and online, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk next week.
Okay, have a nice weekend.
All right, take care. All right, back to our phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Morning, Brian. How you doing today? Tom from Florida.
Hey, Tom.
How's it going there?
All right.
I'm glad that, well, at least Trump blinked. And,
he blinks. He's a human. People blink.
Yes, those tariffs had to go, man. Some of them, I guess it was the art of the deal.
The tariffs have not, he's not reversed on tariffs. He's involved in negotiations.
I know. That's the art of the deal, right?
That's right,
the art of the deal.
That's correct.
Threaten it and do all that.
You Democrats, you Democrats need to get
hey,
your...
Brian, why do you label? Why do you always insist on labeling people?
Slow down, Tom.
You sound like a Nazi labeling the Jews. Like, it's like... I am
all right,
an American.
When you call... slow down, Tom.
You think I am.
Slow down, Tom. Slow down, Tom.
Just to let you know.
You liberal callers out there, you got to get your talking points together. Half of the Democrat callers are upset about the tariffs, and the other half are telling us that Trump's reversed the tariffs. You've got conflicting talking points. Now, as far as what you said... no, slow down, Tom. You said something stupid.
Right, I'm listening.
You said something stupid. You referred to me as a Nazi. Do you want? You said I'm acting like a Nazi. First off, when you when you say someone acts like a Nazi, you're calling them a Nazi. When you call me a Nazi, when you call me a Nazi, do you understand that you're calling the majority of the voters Nazis? Think about that. All right, if you can think. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Victor in Cooper City.
Hey, Victor. Victor from our cruise.
Yes, that's right. Thurston. Yes,
I remember you. Oh, you know that comedian. You've taken that nickname the comedian gave you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. My wife calls me that.
Yeah.
Real quick. All these liberals talking about Trump has to follow what the judges say and so forth. Where were they when the Supreme Court, if I remember correctly, I think it was Nebraska versus Biden in 23 or 22, ruled against the student loan forgiveness, and Biden went ahead and did it anyway with
exactly.
Where were all these callers?
Yeah, where was
were
the
they?
in fact, I was watching on CBS News this week. They were doing a story on presidents disobeying the Supreme Court. They were talking about Andrew Jackson. They didn't mention Biden and the student loans. Shocker.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. But no, you didn't get any calls about why is Biden not following the court's decision. Not one call, because I've been listening to you since 1991.
That's
anyway,
right.
Just wanted to keep it
All right, Victor, we had a good time on the cruise. It was nice hanging out with you.
Yes, we did. I booked 2 more cruises with Ian.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Okay. Hopefully we'll see you next year.
We were never cruisers.
Cruising's the best way to go, man. All right, Victor, take care. Take care. Yeah, he went on our last cruise. We were hanging out on the back of the ship. Had a real nice conversation, a group of us. He's a good guy. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Jay from Jersey.
Oh, hey, Jay.
I'm just calling today to say whatever you choose to. I'm just trying to figure out when you say, are y'all tired of winning?
No.
Where are y'all winning?
And we're winning
Where are y'all
everything.
winning?
We're winning everything.
No.
Well, as an
Okay, but I
example,
wanted to say-
Garcia, the Maryland man, still in prison in El Salvador. We won that one.
Okay, that's cool.
Egg prices. President Trump yesterday said egg prices have dropped 87% in Trump's first 100 days. We won on that.
Has he been in the store?
He just bought a bunch of eggs for the Easter egg roll. He went through the cost, 87%.
He didn't buy anything.
Well, stop going.
He lied about the eggs.
Stop buying the organic, cruelty-free farm eggs. Buy the regular store brand like everybody else.
Okay. Well, the way I see it is when you say you're winning, when everything in the world, not just in the United States, everything in the world is crashing, and you say you're winning.
What's cracking?
What's
cracking?
What I want to say is, listen to this. What I want to say is,
gas prices dropped too. We're winning there.
I just want to tell you that I want to say now that I told you so.
I filled my car up the other day, $2.58 a gallon. Gas is down. We're winning on that.
What good is that when the world is crashing?
What crash?
Everything.
Well, pick the biggest.
The lies he told about how all the countries came to him about their tariffs.
Over 30 countries have sent trade delegations that are in negotiations.
They're all lies, and y'all believe it because y'all are idiots.
That's what President Trump said.
But he's an idiot too. You believe the idiots are believing an idiot. He's lying to you. You're lying to everyone else to try to make him look good.
So where is Trump? Okay, so where is Trump in Trump's first 100 days of greatness in the second term? Where have you been hit the hardest?
Oh my God! Oh well, I've been hit the hardest, and I'm not going to break down every single thing. I have a company. There's certain things we can't get.
Like what? What can't you get? What can't you get? Wait. What can you not get?
No, I'm not going. I said I'm not going.
You're not going to tell us what you can't get? Come on.
I'm not going to let y'all try to figure out.
Nobody's going to. There's some product you can't get. What product is that?
White people who try to destroy people's lives. When you find out who they are.
I'm not asking you the name of your company. What is the product? What's the product that you can't get?
Let me tell you why people follow Trump.
All right, okay. I mean, come on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
John from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, John.
Good morning.
Hey.
I just wanted to get your theory. I have a theory. I believe that Russia is doing these civilian bombings to try to speed up and put pressure on Ukraine to hurry up and sign a peace treaty. And I think if they don't, this may be the beginning of a lot more to come.
Maybe. Zelensky is, the other day, Zelensky's been holding up the peace process. President Trump said so. Carolyn Levitt said so. I mean, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is the beginning of, a lot more to come if he doesn't hurry up and get off his butt and sign it.
Yeah, you're right. Listen, I'm out of time for the week, but I appreciate the call. You made a good point. All right, that's a good last call of the day. Usually, I don't do good when I take that last call right before the end of the show. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. My name's Brian Craig. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back Monday morning at 6 a.m. Great calls on this open MAGA Mike Friday. See you Monday morning, 6 a.m. Well, listen, everyone, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. If you're new, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you subscribe if you're new. And if you're already subscribed, please like the video. And if all of you could take the video and share it on all your social media, that would help too. That helps grow the program, and that's greatly appreciated. So I've got like a crazy busy weekend, but I'll have a new podcast later today. Look out for that. And on that podcast, I'm gonna do the show prep that I didn't get to on today's show. And today's open phones, Open MAGA Mike Friday, this was one of the best ones. I want to tell them to keep this for a best of show. The calls today were spectacular, even from the liberals. So I do appreciate all the calls today. They were really, really good. And those of you that are new, this is what we do every day. All the calls are screenless, completely unvetted. When you call in, I just put you on hold and I take the call live on the air. And I don't know who's on hold. I don't know what they're going to talk about until I take it on the air. So it's completely cold calling to me. And the reason we do that, we have somebody that could answer the phones, but we don't do that because I think it makes the show more interesting. I don't know what's coming, and you can put me on the spot. Sometimes people bring things up and I may not know something, because I don't know what's going on. And it's, I think it makes the show a lot more exciting. That's why we do that. Now, my podcast, the Brian Craig Show podcast, is on all podcast platforms, and it's a show separate from this, okay? The Brian Craig Show podcast. I do upload it here on YouTube, and when I upload it here on YouTube, I upload it as a live premiere, so there's a live chat. But go to any podcast platform, look up the Brian Craig Show podcast, and I'm there. And it's, again, it's a totally separate show from this one. Well, listen, guys, I got to run, but I will be back on my podcast later. Again, thanks for watching. My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Take care.